Hello friends, in the series which we are doing on the making of contemporary India from 1950 to 1990s, today we will talk about other media in the context of the public sphere. In the earlier lectures we talked about in the context of the public sphere and the various kinds of media, for example the print media and the electronic media. And in that particular lecture we also talked about in the context of the electronic media, where we talked about the radio and the role of the television as well in terms of creating an impact on the society, and the way the arrival of television and its popularity, especially in the 1990s and thereafter, where we find that how the cable television and the direct to home DTH revolutionized the television industry. So all these things, they were being discussed in our earlier lecture. Today we will talk about certain other aspects relating to television which were not being discussed that day. In the context of the references, I would suggest Keval J. Kumar, Mass Communication in India, then Uma Joshi, Textbook of Mass Communication and Media Studies, Feroz Rangoonwala's 75 Years of Indian Cinema, then मनोज शर्मा आधुनिक भारत में प्रिंट मीडिया, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया और सूचना क्रांति इन द मटेरियल ऑफ उत्तराखंड ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी, एंड मनोज शर्मा आधुनिकता और सांस्कृतिक रूपांतरण, संस्कृति, मीडिया और उपभोग में उभरती प्रवृत्तियां इन अनिरुद्ध पांडे एडिटेड बुक 20वीं सदी के इतिहास के कुछ प्रमुख मुद्दे. सो दीज आर सर्टेन मटेरियल विच कैन बी रेफर्ड in terms of understanding the kind of other media. And as I told you earlier that we were talking about the television industry and how the television industry over a period of time has become commercialized, and especially in the context of the not only in the context of the entertainment programs, but at the same time we see even in the news channels where it is expected that more and more news will be covered, but at the same time we find that there are plenty of advertisements in the break period, and also we find that advertisements, they are also being shown on the strip below even when the news bulletins, they are being telecast. So we find that over a period of time the commercialization of this medium has been to an extent where even such kind of things, they are happening. And what we also find in this context is that how the different television channels, they are in a way competing or contesting for the TRP ratings that way, and how they have to augment their revenues through the advertisements. And if we in a way connect cricket in India, which is considered to be a religion, we find that there is a lot of viewership of cricket in India, and how when India won 1983 World Cup, after that we find that there is a lot of popularity. By it we do not mean that there was less popular in earlier times, but it was popular as well in the earlier times as well. But especially after 1983, when India was able to win the World Cup, thereafter cricket began to grow in stature in India, and the cricketers, they were considered to be some sort of stars. And we also find that the arrival of the T20 cricket in India and the IPL, which are considered to be the crowning glory of sport in India, and how IPL is able to generate a lot of revenue for the broadcasters as well. And we also find that there is a lot of competition among the different companies or the franchisees to pay the astronomical prices to achieve the telecast rights. So we find that various companies or broadcasting companies, they are vying to pay a lot of money so that they are able to get the telecast rights, because they are able to generate a lot of money through advertisements while telecasting the cricket matches. At the same time, we also have seen that how television has played an important role in terms of becoming some sort of a vehicle for the propagation and the popularity of sport in India. And we also see that how films, they are also broadcasted quite frequently and now there are separate film channels which are exhibiting films all the time. So if we combine both of them, that the way sport in India, especially cricket, how it has become more and more popular over a period of time, and the role of television in terms of popularizing this sport, and we find that the arrival of film channels in the context of television, where we find that certain film channels, they are telecasting or exhibiting films all the time, all 24/7. So which, and the coming of some of the sport films, for example, one which was based on Mahendra Singh Dhoni and titled as such, and if we see a film which was based on Sachin, and recently 83, which was based on India's campaign for the World Cup in 1983. So such kind of portrayals, they not only create some kind of a sense of pride among the people, those who are watching such kind of films, but at the same time they also are able to communicate that what all was happening when these players were playing cricket at that point of time, what were their aspirations in terms of achieving their goals, and some of the anecdotes which are there at that point of time, which communicate the background stories which are connected. So in that context, as I told you, that there are kind of changes which have happened over a period of time, and films, they are being exhibited on a very regular basis at different points of time, and films like Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Sachin Tendulkar 83, as I talked to you earlier. And we find that many a times TV channels, they are not only showing old films, but they are also showing a lot of recent films, and which in a way creates some kind of a window where we will find that the release of the film, when the film releases and when it is being exhibited on television. So that kind of a window in terms of days has decreased over a period of time, and many a times we find that within a span of 10-20 days, some films which have been released in the theatres, they are also being shown on the television as well. So television has definitely played an important role, and especially also in the context of some of the films which are based on the various sports as well. And we also find that how TV has been able to integrate people in a global manner, because the various channels which are in a way telecast through the DTH or through the satellite communication. So the world basically has shrunk that way, and it has become some sort of a global village. So these kinds of things in the context of the coming of the different channels, they have played an important role in making the world a smaller place, where we find that people are interacting, the people, those who are living quite far, they are also interacting through the various kinds of channels via the mobile phones, via Skype or other kinds of communication networks which have been devised over a period of time. And recently, in the context of the pandemic, we find that these kinds of developments, they were used frequently in terms of even holding the online classes as well, and also holding the various kinds of meeting through in online mode. So we find that the way TV has brought the various developments into our into our living rooms, and the way the Gulf War in the early 1990s, how it was being shown live in our living rooms through the medium of television, and how we also find that some of the TV channels, they are more concerned with sensationalizing the news. So this is one aspect which has to be taken care of, that the news, the way it is being presented. So one has to watch out that the sanctity of the news is to be maintained, and many a times we find that such kind of sanctity, such kind of debates with regard to news or on the news channels, they are not being followed. and we find that how over a period of time many of the Indian serials, they are also being watched across the world in many countries, and the television the satellite television has provided this kind of an opportunity where such kind of channels and services which are relating to India, and how these channels and how these programs, they could be telecasted in other regions as well. So it provides an opportunity to the people of the diaspora, those who are living in different countries of the world, that they can also relate to whatever is happening in the context of program developing in India. And we also find that various kinds of people, they have their own kinds of ideas, and even satellite television is being criticized by a certain section of society, and how TV, which was also being considered as some sort of an idiot box, how it can also play a constructive role in the society, not only in terms of providing entertainment, but we also can see that how it can deliver the instructive news, and where it can inform the citizens to defend themselves. And we also see that how the impact of television on the real world, where the ideas which are concerning education, information and communication, as you can see on the screen as well. And we also find that it also results in the learning of the noteworthy events which are happening across the world. And at the same time, we also find that when you are being better educated about the numerous things in life, that also improves the quality of life. So from that perspective, we find that television has played an important role in terms of creating that kind of an awareness, or educating people in a manner where the quality of the life of the people can improve. We also find that that all of us are living in an age where there is a cutthroat competition, where people are competing at different levels, and people, they do not have time. Their lifestyles are very hectic, because of which we find that people are living under a lot of pressure. So some entertainment programs, they also play an important role in terms of providing some kind of a catharsis to the masses, that masses they are able to relieve themselves from the kind of pressures which are there on them in the context of their professional life or personal life, or at the level of the various kinds of policies which are affecting them at different points of time. And we also find that they not only play an important role in terms of providing catharsis, but at the same time they may also create some kind of a negative effect as well, that the undesirable levels of the sex and the violence which are being displayed many a times on television, that may result in the immoral impact on the young impressionistic minds. So that can be one handicap in terms of the television programming, that they have to in a way balance those things where it is able to create some kind of a positive impact on the society. We also find that how, because of the rampant commercialization and the kind of extent to which commercialization is happening, and the access, this kind of a thing inspires the people, those who are engaged in the field of advertising, the people, those who are the advertisers and the sponsors, to employ its full potential so as to maximize their profit generation. So we basically find that how, as a TV is becoming some sort of a device for the rampant commercialization, and at the same time the employer, the sponsors and the advertisers, they are also in a way want to maximize their profit generation to that extent that they also want to indulge in more and more commercialization. We also find that how the sponsorships and the advertising world, along with the big business people or the houses, they become some sort of a driving force of this technological mammoth, which offers us an escape into the world of illusory images. So in a way, TV has really revolutionized society in multifarious ways, and the way TV screen is being used across India in generally every home, and the way the various programs they are being telecasted 24/7, and at the same time we also find that the various kinds of the various kinds of programming, where the various genres they have been established over a period of time. If one is watching television, then we will find that you all have the film channels, sports channels, programs which are concerned with mythology, and then there are devotional channels as well. So cartoon channels, apart from the news channels, which are definitely there. So we find that that various kinds of genres of channels are there on the television, and which are catering to the tastes of the people, and it has become comparatively easier for the people to choose among these channels that what program they want to watch. So this kind of a competition, which was not evident earlier because of the paucity of channels, has in a way come to this kind of a situation, where we have so many channels that it will be very, very difficult for one person to even serve, or in a way being connected to all the channels which are available on the television. Apart from the TV industry, where we find that some of the film stars as well, they have been connected to the television programs, and some of the retired film stars, etc., the way they have become judges on certain programs in the television industry. And I think in one of the earlier lectures we also talked about a quiz program where Amitabh Bachchan was not only able to recover a lot of debt which he had incurred earlier, and how Kaun Banega Crorepati became some sort of a benchmark where the established film stars they came into the TV industry. And arrival of Amitabh Bachchan not only in a way brought him to every house in this kind of a gaming program, but it also opened the doors for other film stars as well. And today we find that so many film stars, those who are not working in the films but those who were part of the films earlier, and how these people they are working in the TV industry in terms of becoming judges or mentors, etc. And they have also brought in their experience in the film world, and also gained some kind of experience when they are working in the television industry. So this kind of a give and take is very, very important. And at the same time, the kind of award shows which are being organized by the television industry, where we find that different kinds of awards in different genres they are being given to the people, those who are competing in the film industry in different programs. So this kind of a thing has also helped the television industry, that when they are competing, then they are trying to give their best in terms of their programming. So all these changes they have come over a period of time, and they have definitely played an important role, not only in terms of making these kinds of programs popular, but at the same time developing these kinds of new kinds of communication strategies as well. And at the same time we also find that when such kind of competing is taking place in the context of the different television channels, in the context of different programs, then they will also try to bring up more quality programs for their viewers. So this is one thing, one area which needs a lot of attention, when we will find that some kind of a quality programs they are being shown on the television. Then another important aspect which is connected to the demands of technology, which is in the context of the communication, is the internet, which is a global system of interconnected computer networks. to serve the billions of users across the world, and it carries an extensive range of information resources and services like www, World Wide Web, and infrastructure to support email. So we find that how computer systems through the usage of the internet has benefited millions and billions across the world, and because of internet we find that how some kind of a revolution has come in the field of the communication channels, and we find that how the human beings, they are able to interact with each other through the instant messaging, which was not there earlier, and various internet forums and the social networking sites which are available. So in this way the communication has been revolutionized in this context, and we have also seen that during the pandemic the online shopping it increased, because people, they were not very ready, or they were apprehensive of the kind of pandemic, and they were not ready to go out, and so this kind of a business sector in terms of online shopping became quite popular during the pandemic, and it gave some kind of a thrust to this kind of an industry. And we find that how internet over a period of time, its reach as well as its popularity increased in the 1990s in India, but its arrival could be seen in 1960s in USA, but it was not all that popular in India in 1990s. But over a period of time, with the arrival of the computers and the internet, we find that nowadays it is available to everyone, where we find that it is available on one's mobile phone, and everyone is using the mobile phone where internet is connected. So that way the access to the internet has increased, and the people, they are constantly using the internet services, and how some kind of a cultural exchange has also become possible because of internet facility which is being offered to people on such a large scale. And we also find that there's a lot of information which is available on internet, and how people, they utilize and use this kind of information is very, very important. And we find that in terms of communication, Skype, email, Yahoo Messenger, etc., how they have shortened the distances in such a manner that the people, those who are sitting in different continents, they can speak and see each other on Skype, WhatsApp, and other kinds of services. And at the same time, the educational material at all levels, it is also being provided. We are now talking about the virtual universities and internet tuitions. They have also opened new vistas in teaching and learning processes. And because of the arrival of the internet tuitions, because of the arrival of various kinds of technologies, the distances which were there between two people, those who were living not only in the different countries but even in the different continents, they have become comparatively very less, where they can see and talk to each other at the same time. We also find that there is a lot of material which is available in the context of the various spheres, whether it may connect to the music, cinema, fashion, food items, and how it has also in a way created a kind of a situation where intercultural tolerance could also be increased. And we also find that how these kinds of developments are low cost in nature, and because of their low cost, we find that the sharing of the ideas, knowledge, and the skills is not only instantaneous, but at the same time the collaborative work can be done in a dramatically easier manner. We also find that social media is another kind of a thing which is quite popular nowadays, and how the social media is also playing an important role in terms of bringing about a lot of changes in terms of sending and receiving messages, and how the social media has transformed the prevailing tide of the mass communication from few to numerous communication. And the the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it in a way defines the social media, that the social media refers to the forms of electronic communication such as the websites for social networking and microblogging, through which users create online communities to share information, ideas, personal messages and other content such as videos. So we find that how the arrival of the social media, because of which we find that it has become all the more pervasive in nature, and this kind of a communication is there between so many people at the same time, and how these people, they can communicate to so many people at the same time. So this is one of the important developments in the recent times, and how it is also available to the people all the time, and how people at different points of time can be connected to each in their groups through the WhatsApps and Telegram and other kinds of channels which are available to us. And then we also find that it is more egalitarian in nature, that how anyone can communicate to the world, and how the instantaneous response is likely on the social networking medias. And we also find that because of the coming of so much social media and their all pervasive nature, there is also some kind of a disruption in the life of the people. So information revolution is there in that context, and how the arrival of the globalization, liberalization and the privatization in the 90s and 1990s and thereafter, because of which there is we find that information is available everywhere. And because of this information revolution, where the proliferation of the availability of information is happening, and the kind of changes which are coming in the storage in terms of dissemination owing to the use of the computers. So we find that there is a lot of application of computers in our day-to-day living, and how computers play an important role in terms of transmitting the language, and how they are being used in different sectors: restaurants, shopping malls, e-ticketing, cinema halls, etc. So computers as a device, how they have played an important role in the school and the college education, in the university education, and how they have played an important role in terms of one of the leaders in the information technology revolution. So we have to see that various kinds of media, they need certain devices, and computers as one of the important devices which is being used in different spheres. And at the same time, how libraries, etc., they use computers to in terms of cataloging the books. So they are very, very important in that sector as well. And the way the arrival of the mobile phones, etc., they have also played an important role, where we find that these mobile devices, they are being used at different levels. So to conclude the discussion, I'd like to say that the arrival of the other media like television, internet, computers, information revolution and cinema, all of them, they have played an important role in terms of being the foremost channels by which communication has become comparatively more swift and easier. Thank you very much.